to Local Distortion. On this podcast, I'll be talking to the best up-and-coming independent artists and bands. I am your host, Daniel Kirk. My guests this week are Dead Ground. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hello.
Would you like to introduce yourselves?
I'm Ollie. I play guitar and sing.
I'm called Jake and I drum.
I'm Ed. I play bass.
Okay, can you describe Dead Ground in just 3 words? So as there's 3 of you, a word each maybe?
I want to say epic, but it's probably not the right kind of word.
It's a bit...
No one's ever said epic.
It's a bit Spinal Tap.
I don't know.
Does anyone else have a word in mind?
It sounds weird. I was going to say weight, as in like...
That's
I was going to say
heaviness,
loud.
weighted.
Just kind of the impact and weight
Yeah,
of it.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
think weight is one.
That's
Just strange.
I was going to say loud.
Good. Loud. You know, distorted.
So distorted, weight, and loud.
Yes.
Do you want to stick with those?
I feel like that's reflection, because I don't know. We get times when it's
Atmospheric.
Yeah, that's a good one. So which one do you want to change to add that one?
Did you say epic in the end?
I can't.
Let's change epic for atmospheric.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
No offense.
That's alright.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. So how did the band come together?
We Jake and I went to Exeter College together, studying music, and we were both into very similar styles of music. I had been writing some songs because I've always wanted to be part of a band, preferably like a 3-piece kind of sound. I'm used to kind of filling the space on one guitar, and Jake and I had similar interests, and we were writing a couple of tunes together. And then a friend at college recommended Ed to us after I was plastering adverts everywhere. I think it was because he saw your tattoo, of the Red Hot Chili's tattoo. You went, oh, he must... I think you two get on, you got similar tastes, but even though you knew that I didn't actually listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers. But yeah.
I was going to say, you guys don't sound anything like Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Add.
I mean, they're good. I never had my phase. I never had my Hot Chili's listening phase.
No, I still haven't had mine yet.
Yeah, neither have I. So.
Oh, me.
It's just Ed.
It's in a 5-year-long stage.
So yeah, college really.
Yeah.
Word of mouth.
So how long have you guys been going?
Officially.
It's coming
Since Ed.
3 years at the end of April, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. Since our first rehearsals and gigs with Ed. Yeah.
Yeah.
April 2015 was the kind of official kick-off day.
So what was the first album you guys ever brought with your own money, if you can remember?
I remember. Gorillas.
Red Hot Chili Peppers? Or?
No. No, I
What
wish.
was it?
It was Demon Days, Gorillas.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's Ed's other obsession.
I can't remember if it was with my own money, but the first cassette I ever owned with a lot of pride was Don't Stop Moving by S Club 7. I would have been about 7 as well, but I loved it. And it was
mine was a cassette as well. Mine was Robbie Williams, so that's
Which
how old I am.
like
Angels.
Oh right,
Yeah, the single.
Like rock DJ era was pretty cool for Robbie.
I'm trying to get the album name up, but Evanescence was probably the first album I ever bought.
Was it the one with?
Bring Me to Life.
Yeah.
Was
Amazing.
it that one?
That was when I first got introduced to heavy music, I guess.
That's quite a bit more intense than Don't Stop Moving.
Yeah.
Very emotional.
Yeah.
You'll never see Evanescence and S Club 7 do a collab.
New metal.
Do you still listen to that CD now, or?
Well, you know, I'll go back to it and go, yeah, I used to rock out to this. But I
Wake me up.
yeah. I can appreciate it a lot more, obviously, now than I did when I was younger.
It's kind of become an internet meme, that song as well. So whenever you see it, you're reminded of
It's
that
actually
song.
a lot more popular than, you think it is. Yeah.
So let's talk about your brand new single, Small Love, which you released last month now.
Yeah, I guess that song is actually quite old. We've been playing it for a long time. But we never... It took us a while to kind of realise it. We had like 95% of it for a very long time, and it does feel like in the year between recording it and when it kind of started blooming, there was like that last 5% that we worked on kind of brought it out. I think it just came through gigging it a lot. Naturally, you can kind of imagine it started with the riff that opens. It was that sound. And on the classic send an iPhone recording on Facebook Messenger to the guys. The actual writing of it, the writing process is a bit of a blur for me. I don't really remember much about it, just because I think it must have happened rather quickly as a three-piece. And then...
I was going to say, it's just one of those songs that just came together super easy.
Yeah.
It actually, now I think about it, it came together just as we'd finished recording the first EP, which left us in a real problem because we loved the song to pieces, but we couldn't put it in. But I'm glad we didn't, because we gigged it a lot and people were really digging it. And then when we did finally record it, we had already done like a live session or two with it. Yeah. We'd gigged it to death, and we knew what we wanted to do with it by then. So we'd had all these tweaks we've added in, and yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to ask that, because it does sound very different from the stuff on the first EP.
The first EP was essentially, we had got together most of those songs. I think I wrote two of them in my own time and then brought them to Jake, and one of them was written with Ed. So it was very early days songs, but we sort of, when these are the three-piece, it's kind of the basic foundation of our sound, which is kind of, it goes heavy, it eases off a bit, there's room for breathing. Particularly in like Why Do I, the third track, it's a little more spaced out and it kind of crescendos, but it was very much a stamp on like, this is a three-piece and this is what we sound like, just to kind of get the message out there. Whereas with the second EP, we've been able to go, here are the songs, here's where we are creatively, without people getting too confused by potentially a weird mix of songs. I don't know. So Small Love was just as we'd finished getting all those old songs out of our system. So that might be why. I'm not sure.
Will that be featured on the new EP as well, or is that just a go-between, sort of in-between single release?
Small Love is the second track on the EP. So it's alongside others, but it's after gigging the other songs from the EP as well quite a bit. It is one of the ones that people seem to remember the most. And it's always kind of, I always like the description words. After a gig, people are their descriptions are interesting, because I think everyone's kind of hyped up and in a live scenario, and it's loud and it's like you have to shout, and they sort of go, that the low like big one, really like, the really heavy riff, and you're like, we're a rock band.
Doesn't narrow it down, does it?
Could turn out this whole time they've been describing another song, we've just picked the wrong one.
Yeah. All right, so should we give that track a spin?
Yeah.
So talking about the new EP, what can your fans expect from this?
I think personally, I think there's quite a big leap from our first EP to our second. This second one's a lot more thought out, I guess, and yeah, like as Ollie said, we've been gigging these songs for ages before and after as well, so we kind of know them a bit better as well, and we can perform them a bit better as well. And yeah,
I think restraint, along similar lines of what Jake said. I think restraint, there's a lot more restraint because we knew when to sort of ease off a bit. There was like time off in the first EP, but it was, I think, because the songs were written before the band was fully gelled in together. The songs were very much, they were rock songs that a three-piece had written, whereas personally for me, like listening through the EP, I hear bits and go like, that bit is very me and that bit is very Ed. Like the bass line at the end of Coffee Stains, like it's very Ed, and like there's bits that are very Jake, and it's more obvious that it's us three that have written it.
Yeah.
The CP was more like we've got 4 songs, let's lay them down just so we have a EP or something to give out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I'm not impressed with the first EP. Like I still listen to it occasionally where, wow.
It's like a more identity.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
So how many songs are you putting on the new EP?
If you include, do we include the interlude thing?
I would. It's a song.
Yeah, they count. Yeah.
Count.
Yeah.
Depends how long it is actually.
Yeah, no,
It's a good 2 minutes for the interlude.
Yeah, that counts then.
And it's the title track.
Well, yeah,
it's the
exactly.
title of the EP.
So without that,
Yeah. 6 then.
We were debating whether we were going to do the interlude, just because 6 is a bit of a stretch for an EP.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Well, yeah, that was
So glad we did it.
that was
Yeah.
a week-long argument.
But I guess if you're including Small Love as well, then it's kind of like, well, you're only getting 4 new songs and an interlude and a song that people have heard quite a lot. So I say that's a good mix, because then you're giving people a lot, but at the same time you're giving them something that's familiar as well. But yeah, I think that's fair enough.
3 proper songs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, 3 songs and an outro.
and an interlude outro thing.
Yeah.
But like,
We've got this weird thing for putting in little short bits on piano.
I don't know. To me, it's just like we've written an EP, but we kind of need to toss every little last bit out of us in an interlude before we finish off the EP.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I love those types of things. I love interludes, outros, intros. I think a lot more bands should do that, because I think that those types of things are a really good way of like showing off your creativity without having to go the whole process into writing a song, because a lot of those things you'll do without lyrics half the time, so they can just be like purely instrumental and that type of thing.
There's potential that it's like a dying thing, or not. I don't think it'll ever go away, but the commercial world demands short bursts frequently. So like we're hoping to do another single, which I guess we'll mention it later. We're going to do another single towards the end of the year with a new song, but we obviously want to make sure the EP's got its time, but that is the plan. But if you had like an intro and outro in like an EP, in a single that maybe has a B-side or whatever, or a second track, it's a higher percentage of the record that is essentially filler to the first listen or to the radio guys. So like they might be put off by that, whereas in surrounded by 5 full tracks, that little bit of indulgence is worth it because it gives you like a listening experience. But if it's part of like a 2-track single EP thing, it can easily become a bit confusing to people, which is a shame because they're a lot of fun. But I think that might be why there's less of it. There's a lot of rock bands just going like, here's a single, because it's easier to keep people away.
And a lot of people don't seem to do B-sides anymore on that note as well, which is kind of a dying thing as well, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, we don't want to release demos, and it's just like, well, it doesn't have to be relegated to a demo. It can still be a decent track, but it's just a song that complements the single, and I would see it as you're getting more value for your money if you're getting a B-side with it. So yeah, let's talk about the name of the EP. Does that have any like significance, or just something that sounded cool?
Right.
It comes from a lyric within said interlude piano moment, which is No Thoughts, No Tears, which we called the interlude No Thoughts, No Tears, and the EP. It's strange. We didn't have the name of the EP until long after we'd recorded it. And actually, I think if I'm right, No Thoughts, No Tears, the short track, was the last addition to the track listing, because we weren't sure if we wanted to do it first. It was a small song in that it had like 2 sections, and I'd written it. A couple of songwriter friends of mine, we were in a WhatsApp group, and we had to try and write a song a day, and it lasted about 2 weeks. And some of them were about the Babs. One of them was about needing a wee. And some of them are really nice. And there was
those would be great B-sides.
they'd be worth it.
Yeah.
Like, No Thoughts, No Tears / I Need a Wee.
Slash.
Need
a slash.
So that song had come out of it, and I'd written that on the piano, and I think I was showing these guys what had been going on in the chat, because it was quite a funny, like, you know, there's some really funny stuff in there and some cool stuff in there from other people, and I played it to them, and they got annoyed at me for not showing them before. And
actually, I believe the debut of that song was when we played Lime Tree in Paynton.
And Going Nowhere.
Oh, that's a new track. Right. They're not allowed to know that.
Right, don't.
But the No Thoughts, No Tears line was written kind of on automatic mode. I was just writing on paper, and I personally felt like it reflected on the lyrics rather well. There's a lot of kind of discussion in the EP about emotions, and sounded so lame. There's a lot of talk about the body's reaction to its gut reaction. So when your body, your subconscious or your sort of gut instinct tells you one thing, it's your body's reaction, your brain or your heart's feeling towards that. So that the No Thoughts, No Tears thing kind of highlights how all the sort of pain and conflict that the EP discusses, if that were gone, would it be easier? Maybe. That's hypothetical. I think I wrote the lyrics, and I think it sort of said a lot about what I was thinking or feeling, but I don't tend to open up that box. I tend to write it down, put it in a song, and let it rot.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting stuff, because a lot of people, you know, they just pick it because it sounds cool, or, you know, it seems like this title has, you know, a lot of meaning, a lot of depth to it, which is good, and it sounds really cool as well. So it's bonus. Okay, so what are some of your personal highlights been playing with the band so far?
Well, the first one is the licking face story, which is obviously going to be a you story.
Licking
face story.
I don't know if that's a favourite. I got licked in the
quite
face
funny.
at a gig once.
In the face.
Yeah. At a festival. I don't know if I call that a favourite highlight. I think that was more of a sign of worse times to come.
So was that just by a random person, or?
It was after a
She was random
local...
at that point. Yeah.
This is going to come up in so many interviews now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is the most interesting thing.
Someone asked for photos after a set, and they wouldn't let me. They did that around my neck and said she wouldn't let me go until she got a photo, and then she licked my face. Just like a quick like how I imagine a giraffe would do it, just a little. It wasn't like a dog cleansing of the face. It was just like almost like a mistake, which is what I feel like it was. So that's not a highlight.
No.
Highlight because you got to watch.
It was quite funny, yeah. But no, what's it called? The Underbelly gig. That was a highlight for me, just because of what we went through that day.
The amount of
Yeah,
epicness in those 2 hours. You know,
we had a gig in London, and we hit London, and in rush hour traffic, our clutch broke through, and what was it? # we are congestion.
we watched Google Maps turn red as we sat in an underpass in central London.
But throughout all of that, we still managed to get towed by the AA to the gig, and
sorry.
it was such a good gig, because just all of that frustration of just being,
that was a good show.
Yeah.
And to add even more pressure to me, my cymbals were in my van, and that was locked in the garage, so I had to borrow someone else's cymbals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was the.
Did you not end up getting him back? I thought you got him.
Yeah, the next day. But
Yeah.
like the peak of my stress was when that happened as well.
Yeah, we got. The guy said you can pick because we were close enough to Holborn area. He said, "Oh, just pick a garage near there, and if you're quick enough, I'll tow you via the venue. You can chuck your gear out." Because like we said, like we're from ages away, so there's no way we can leave the gear in the van. We have to get it out, and then we had to leave it in the venue overnight. And actually, part of it is what led to some of the shows that are coming up at the end of the month are a result of like meeting some people there, and like Andrew Dutton, who's helping us out, and a few others. So I think one of my highlights has been supporting Idols. Have you heard of Idols?
Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah, knocking around. I haven't listened to their stuff, but I always see them pop up now and again.
Like a brutal post-punk band, and not only were they fascinatingly brutal live, both in like how good they sounded and how upfront their performance was, but speaking to them backstage, they were just really cool guys. We had a good hangout with them, and they were just very friendly, and it always seems to be that way. Because we also did a show for a feminist band called War on Women, and it was a very similar story. Like you watch them sing and perform, and it was genuinely terrifying. But off the stage, you connect with those people way more, because I think they're happy being honest. There's no like pretentious like we've got to look ready for the press kind of vibe or pretentiousness. They're just there to meet people, which is way more fun.
Oh yeah, I usually ask this question a bit earlier on, but just breeze past it. The band name. How did you come up with Dead Ground?
Was it the writing down words thing? You say
partially.
It wasn't, but
it was, but you are.
Yeah, well, it started off with us in a rehearsal space, and we didn't have a name, and we all wrote random words down, and it's as simple as that, really. Like combining some words and then something to do with your dad.
Oh, a family member had said as a joke. Well, I don't even know if he said it as a joke. I said that I was personally like Jake had said, let's write down a bunch of names. This is pre-Ed. Just write down a bunch of words and put stuff together and just like bounce off each other. And I was thinking of words, and my dad said something like, "How about grind?" And I immediately thought of like grindcore.
Yeah.
Crab grind video thing. The guys doing the crab.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Good
and
times.
we can't. It's a grindcore. And also he said it because I'm obsessed with coffee, and he thought it would actually be a genuine good thing to do. And then he's all, how about ground? It's like we can't just call ourselves like ground. It's like calling ourselves dirt or earth. But somehow ground, I sort of thought it kind of. There was something about the word that made me think actually it's kind of it's a word association with how the songs feel, but the ground by itself sounded really weird, and through some kind of angst moment, adding the word dead just made it so much more believable. As it turns out, it's like a military or driving term for like a spot in a terrain where you can't see what's coming ahead. So if you're driving along and there's a dip in the road, and then you can see the other side, all that in the middle is dead ground. And in military terms, if the same kind of thing and you can't see the enemy, that is dead ground. So, I mean, that's not why, but it just so happens it's an existing term.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that kind
applies
of
to
works, I guess.
Pretend that we were geniuses.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very unique name, and like when I first heard it, obviously the name, I was like, okay, what are these guys going to sound like? It kind of like sends you off, kind of, it doesn't kind of give your genre or your sound away. So yeah, it's kind of an intriguing name as well.
And also when you Google it, not much comes back, so there's room for.
Yeah,
dominance.
That's always good. There's no more dead ground bands out there then.
No, yeah.
Yeah, because that's the main thing. Well, we interviewed so many bands, and there's already about 10 of them out there currently playing, and it's very confusing. So this one is quite a popular question. Would you like to start a rumour about Dead Ground?
I mean, I wouldn't, but if I had to,
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. I've never thought of that before. That's a
Dead Ground
I'd
used to be a 10-piece band.
I'd probably start something off about
We
Ed.
fired the 7 French horn players last week. We just hit 7 bugles. They're gone.
I'd probably start something off about Ed because
Yeah, you can start it about members. That's fine.
he's
We rescued him from a rescue dog shelter.
he used to live on an island.
Only started speaking English this year. This year.
Yes, sure. Yeah.
It would be something to do with Ed's previous life, like he used to be, like in Sherlock, where he used to be an assassin and nobody knew, all that kind of thing.
Right. Okay.
You're a quiet guy.
He's actually changed his identity, like Jason Bourne. He's like Jason Bourne. There you go, but without the cool bits.
I'm actually Dave Grohl.
Ed's
Rumour.
the rumor should just be that there's a dark secret about Ed. That'll do.
Yeah.
That's
That's a good one. Because then there could be like a post on Reddit that just is people just making up what it could be.
Yeah.
Become this huge thread. Just every interview you have, just say something different as well.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Joker in The Dark Knight. He just always makes up some other story.
Some say.
Well, the Stig. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, the Stig as well, yeah.
Some say he's murdered 10 sheep.
With his nose.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Plot thickens. Subreddit 1.
Okay, so let's talk about your future plans for 2018, because we're still quite early in the year. Obviously, EP's coming out in a couple of days. You've already technically released a single. You're going on tour. What else do you want to achieve?
For me, the tour is the best. It's a great opportunity. We want to meet more people and get more of... I want to say get more of a following without sounding too business-like, but it's more finding more people who connect with what we do and feel like there's something beneath what we do. We're hoping, we've got some festivals lined up and coming through, which is always great because summertime is good. In between then, we want to lock ourselves away a bit, do some writing, release a single, do it really quick turnaround kind of single, write it, record it, release it in a month kind of thing, and sort of have that in the summertime really. Just because I think if we went straight into another EP, we'd be out of it for too long. I think it's good to kind of stay present in the scene, and with a single, it's much less commitment, and it'd be very easy to base all of what we're releasing and all of what we're putting out on social media and at gigs is based around this one song rather than a spread out EP release. So yeah, festivals, single, more gigs.
Yeah.
Fire the other French horn player.
Now, do you have any advice for aspiring musicians?
Oh,
Just gig as much as you can and in as many different places as you can. I'm kind of stealing that advice from Dave Grohl. Yeah, but I honestly feel like there's something in that because the more people who see you, the more people like you.
yeah. I think if you've not played before, I think getting experience on the stage is a very big deal. But also kind of finding out what you sound like. No, because there's the inspiration and there's just wanting to be something that's already happened. And I think it takes a while and it takes a lot of gigging to find what you want to say and what you want to sing or play and how you do that. And I've been caught in traps before of wanting to be or sound like other people, and it's learning to take what you like about them and apply it to your own personality. And by gigging as much as you can from an early stage, you begin to find your own voice, whether that's on the drums or the bass or actual voice. Finding who you are.
Well, yeah, as I said, gigging a lot helps you because me and Ed were watching footage from our first ever show and realised how stiff and uncomfortable we kind of looked, and comparing that to now, we're kind of thinking, more of the performance side than what we're playing side of it. Because we know our songs. Practice is also another
Completely aside, but that's the only show we've ever done where we've been behind a curtain and been revealed by which you could have
really
that.
tacky, creamy curtain.
old church hall, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Nice.
From about 10 people.
That was such a fun night, though.
Yeah, some really good advice. Yeah, let's talk about the music video for Small Love, because you're in all these different locations, but you're all blindfolded. And they're all like really nice locations as well.
Yeah.
So why didn't you want to look at that?
Locations that would let us film a video in.
The filmographer told us we were in a cafe, but we didn't know.
Yeah.
It was
Did you actually know where you were?
Fans on.
Cafe is a bit wet. There was a lot of rain. It doesn't look it, but the woodland shot, it was actually a day when it was absolutely chucking it down with rain.
Yeah.
But we were under a bit of shelter. We tried doing the field shot that day.
Mate, that was...
And we put all the gear out, and it literally started storming it down, and it was hot. It was so horrible. We were absolutely soaked, and
that would actually go back to the earlier question of highlights. Running, like putting our stuff away mid-shoot, all covered up by coats and stuff, and it was horrible.
Well, we had to do that music video rather quickly. We had something lined up, and we were asked if we could do something with a slightly different storyline, or not storyline, but slightly different visual work. And we had like 2 or 3 weeks to do it. So we got in touch with Hubert Wigier, who's the guy who shot and edited it, and he said, I just have this idea of like three or 4 different locations that look really scenic where you're playing, and you're cutting between the 3. Because I just gave him the song and said, what do you think? What kind of comes to mind? Is what we do with artwork as well, was we like people to sort of, like the audience, we like them to sort of take hold of the song and go, this is how I see it, this is what I think of when I hear it. And I think we'd already thought about the idea of blindfolds. Small Love, for me, was kind of written about the idea of, there's like a weird expectation, particularly at younger or like late teens, like at a younger age, there's a lot of expectation for like sex and like being this kind of like cool guy who knows their way with people, and you go to a party to drink, smoke and kiss someone. Like, it's this weird idea, and the Small Love song is basically discussing seeing other people doing that, going to do it knowing it's poison, like knowing it's essentially just you hurting yourself because you want to appear like you fit in some way. It was something that I got very frustrated with. There's a weird expectation. So the blindfold is kind of exploring the conflict there, and there's all these 3 wonderful looking locations constantly in the blindfold, and then there's these inside shots, which is almost where we are, really, if that makes sense. So the inside shots are within the blindfold in our own heads, and it's cramped and it's congested and it's kind of flashing images, and it's very hectic and claustrophobic. But from the outside, it appears very scenic and like idyllic, very Instagrammable, and I don't know. And Hubert has a wicked way of capturing shots that look great, like that field shot where the sun is right in the perfect spot. I remember seeing that footage, and he's really nailed it. It's something to look at or listen to the song, and it looks the part. He's done a good job with capturing that.
So let's talk about the artwork quickly as well. What kind of made you guys go towards this sort of piece of art?
I guess it's all about just handing the work over to someone else to listen to and get their own kind of take on it, and that's kind of what the artist did.
So how would you describe it to someone who hasn't seen it?
Kind of, I don't know what the word is, quite a dark depiction of a lady or a girl sort of who is within a seedling in the earth. So as if you've got an X-ray of the soil, it's upside down, she's curled up within this seed, and the roots are growing out, and it's kind of an overlay of black and then that blue turquoisey colour. The t-shirt design actually shows that the rest of it is like a whole tree, but it didn't look as good on like a CD format.
Okay, that's cool.
Sophie Moss was the genius behind that. We found, or I fell in love with her Instagram. She was drawing some really cool stuff using like cellophane sheets, like used to get on old overhead projectors. Like when I was young, I found churches. They projected the lyrics, and we used to draw like inappropriate things on them. It was that with drawings on them over photos of people, and it was just I really thought somehow I just thought she'd be into what we do, and I knew that she was a fan of other bands that we like, so I went, hey, how much and how soon? Because she's really loved it. There are a couple of ideas backwards and forwards, and then she posted that design. I think it was something she came up with but didn't send to us, and we were like, what's that? That's great. It's relatively simple to look at as well. It's nothing too hectic.
It definitely works as an EP cover. That's the end of the interview. Thank you to my guest, Dead Ground, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And we should also plug, you are playing a gig with Local Distortion, which is coming up on the 22nd of February at the Blue Moon. If you're local-ish to the Cambridge area, come down. You're playing with a couple of sick bands, Camilo, Short Stories, History and Law. Do you want to mention any other tour dates?
Oh. Well, we're kicking it off in Bath on the 8th of February with a band called Moriarty and Fangs of the Dodo.
Great name.
Moriarty are a two-piece who we do very much love. They're good guys. And Moles is a wicked venue in Bath.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
And then that's it until the 19th when we start doing like a 6-date stretch.
They're doing Harlow on the 19th. And then we're doing the Monarch in Camden, which I'm really looking forward to.
Oh, yeah.
My parents met there. That's how freaky it is.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard it's a good venue.
Sorry. Yeah, and then Bishop Stortford.
Yeah.
Stortford, yeah.
Then coming back here for the 24th to do some local shows in Torquay and Plymouth.
Yeah. So we got some good bands with this as well. It's really nice to. It's not that we've ever done shows and like been actively angry, but we particularly we bumped into a band called Hyperfora a couple of weeks ago in Bristol, and it turns out that we're doing 2 of these shows with them. They're from Truro in Cornwall. I feel so like they're even further removed than we are in terms of geography, and also a band called Warhorns. So we're gigging with them, and there's some bands we're being introduced to via the tour, and it's good to see. It'd be nice to network and meet new people.
All right, so where can everyone follow you guys on social media?
We have facebook.com/deadgroundmu. Twitter and Instagram is at deadgroundmu. They're the best places to find us, really, for sure.
Awesome. And you're on Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff?
Yeah, the EP will be up on the new EP will be up on those on the 8th, but it is available to pre-order anytime until then. It'll also be on Bandcamp in a slightly nicer quality. So yeah.
Right, and you can follow Local Distortion on Facebook. Obviously, subscribe to this amazing YouTube channel. That's where all the content goes. We're on Twitter. We do some behind-the-scenes stuff on Instagram. So we'll probably be filming and pestering these guys when they're playing the Cambridge show on our Instagram account.
You won't be pestering. It'll be nice.
And yeah, we have T-shirts as well that are on sale for £12, and it helps support the channel. That's it. Cheers, guys.
Thanks.
No worries.